You are listening to The Witch Haven, narrated to you by Audiobooks with Keeper of Lost Stories, Part 9, Chapter 24. For more such content, please subscribe to Audiobooks with Keeper of Lost Stories and do not forget to give the video a like and share it with your friends. Let's start. Like a river, I let the current of the crowd carry me away from the ambulance, my heart beating faster with each step. From behind me, I hear Helen shouting, enraged. Francis! She screams over and over again. Francis! Her name is carried away by the sound of the crowd, floated off on the breeze by the jangling music spilling from the theaters until it becomes just another noise. I pick up my footsteps until I'm running at a full sprint, and I don't look back. I duck through alleys and dart around corners, dodging passers-by who clutch their pearls and look at me with horror. It's only when I'm doubled over, gasping for breath, sure Helen isn't chasing me, that I allow myself to take stock of my surroundings. I need a plan, even if it's a half-baked one. I'm in Midtown, a good hour's walk from Columbia. If I know anything about Oliver, he is home safe in his bed at this hour. He was never the type to close down a party, raging past midnight. The subway is closed this time of night, but I can hail a pretty cab. This close to the theater district, it isn't difficult. One stops in less than 2 minutes. I rip one of Maxine's delicate bracelets off my wrist. Columbia University, please. You'll take this for payment? The driver's eyes go wide at the sight of it. Yes, ma'am. He nods. No escort this evening? He went home ill, I lie. He hugs in acknowledgement and drives on. He's not chatty. I'm grateful for it. All the ride, my brain buzzes with possibilities. If it is the witches of Hacksaven killing the boys on Sheepshead Bay, I need to know who was involved. Is it just Helen? Certainly Mrs. Vygotsky is part of it too. But who else? Surely Anne of Florence. But what about Maxine? She spends so much time alone with Helen, out doing God knows what. It's too horrible a thought to dwell on. I need more than ever to speak to my brother, to learn the truth. Only then can I make things right. By the time we arrive uptown, every one of my cuticles is bloody. My jaw aches from being clenched, one step at a time. I hear William's voice in my head. The jingling reins slow the horse to a stop. The driver sees me off with a polite nod and be careful, dear. I feel a little sorry. I have zero intention of heeding his fatherly advice. It's a navy blue dark outside, the moon covered by grey clouds. This part of the city feels dead compared to the theater district. The quiet is heavy. I found comfort in the crowds of Midtown. The empty wide boulevards uptown make me feel exposed, like I have nowhere to hide. The imposing ivy-covered buildings of Columbia University might as well whisper, Francis Hallowell, this is not a place for girls like you. I've been here once before, back when William was alive, to deliver a Christmas present to Oliver. William had saved for weeks to buy his best friend a book of sports statistics. It seemed like a boring gift to me, but Oliver clutched it to his chest with delight upon opening it. I loved that day. It was the first time I had seen Oliver in months, and I had been thrilled my brother had asked me to come along. I remember my boots crunching down the same brick path. It was covered in snow then, and the sky was clear, bright blue. Oliver's dormitory is an intimidating 15-story brick building near Morningside Park. This late, the paths winding through the campus are empty, but inside the building, windows glow with students studying after dinner and faculty advisors waiting to catch the honorable young men of Columbia University breaking the rules. I circled the building once to find the diamond-paned first floor window I'm nearly positive belongs to Oliver. I remember the slightly cracked glass in the left corner from when my brother and I visited. I found it odd that such a nice university would let cracks go unfixed. I pressed my face to the cold glass and cupped my hands around my eyes to see better. This glass is foggy, with time and frost, so the image is warped. like trying to look through the bottom of a pop bottle. The room is dark, just a single low lantern flickering. I hear no noise, see no movement. I pray he's asleep. I steel myself. Brissad, I whisper to the window. The lock obeys my order and unlatches with a thunk. As slow as I am able, I pray the window open. It squeaks terribly, curse this old school and its rusty window hinges. Nothing stirs from the inside, so I press on. What will I do if he isn't home? Hide and wait? And what will I do if he is home? Greet him like there's nothing unusual about climbing in his window late at night? I have no time left to contemplate. The window is open. I hike my heavy, beaded skirts around my knees and climb inside. The room is small, dancing in shadows cast by a single lantern, and sitting up in bed wearing a nightshirt holding a book is a very startled looking Oliver Callahan. Hello, he greets me, wide eyed, like he doesn't know what else to say. But a sliver of amusement cracks his face, watching me in all my fancy dressed glory sneak into a boy's dormitory at such a late hour. Aren't you full of surprises this evening? Hello, I reply like any part of this is normal. We stare at each other for a moment. I'm calmer than I thought I'd like. Oliver opens his mouth, then closes it. He opens it again. To what do I owe this pleasure? I picture another life in which I'm an ordinary girl sneaking into his dormitory simply because I want to spend more time with him. We'd arranged this secret meeting with past notes and stolen moments. Perhaps if my brother had lived, Oliver and I could have grown together naturally, like I'd always wanted. I can almost picture it, like the echo of a memory, a different version of Francis and a different version of Oliver, both a little less broken, embracing the same room. I snap back to reality. I wanted to see you. It's mostly the truth. His face softens, but I can tell he's unsettled by my sudden appearance. I don't often have pretty girls crawling through my window. Pretty. Not often, I reply, but it has happened a non zero amount of times. Oliver furrows his brow and I laugh a little, like he's baffled by this entire conversation. I don't blame him. Is that what you came here to talk about, Francis? I sink down into the wooden chair at his desk. Like everything in his room, it's tidy. The pencils are lined up in an even row, his papers in a stack, his blazer hangs unwrinkled on the back of the chair. But for all the room's cleanliness, it isn't cold. There's a threadbare red kilt on the bed and a painting of a sunlit landscape hung above the door. The whole place is paneled in oak. His room is small and soft. It smells too much like him, feels too much like him. No, that's not why I came. Are you in trouble? The concern on his face is genuine. It hurts with an acuity so fierce it nearly knocks the wind out of me. The realization that he's trying to take care of me. No. He knits his brow together and snaps his book shut. You look like you're in trouble. I'm not. It comes out sounding petulant. He pulls himself out from under the blankets and sits on the edge of his bed, so close our knees nearly touch. Oliver sighs. I cannot let you go like I let William go. Let me help you, Francis. It's uncomfortable, this fizzy, soft nervousness that comes with looking at his face. So I choose to feel anger instead. I poke at the familiar rage, and it rises as I think of all the unanswered letters in the months after William's death. All the days I spent alone at the police station. They would have taken Oliver more seriously. Perhaps they would have solved the murder months ago, saved the other boys from the same fate. The world listens to boys like Oliver Callahan. You abandoned me, I reply. His fine features crumble like he might cry. I'm sorry. He breathes as if the words have been trapped in his throat for the 6 months William has been gone. It hurt, Francis. It hurt to look at you. It hurt to think about. I cared so much, and I could not take it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. His dark admission hangs in the room for a moment. But now is not the time to make amends. I don't need your apologies. I hate the way he is looking at me like a thing that needs saving. And I hate that some small childish part of me craves his protection. I understand. Nothing I will say will ever be enough to express my deep regret. He pauses and sighs, like the weight of the world rests on his shoulders. Will was always the one who was good with words. I never seemed to be able to find the quite right ones. I didn't think Oliver Callahan had the ability to break my heart anymore, but here it is, breaking. It was one thing to leave Maxine and Lena and Finn help me with the quest for the resurrection, but it's another to be here with someone who misses William as much as I do. Grief is lonely. I lean forward, our knees brush just barely. I miss him too. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever feel better. Oliver's green eyes well with tears, and it cracks through the facade of my anger. It's easy to forget why I came here tonight at all. My only thought is that I'd do anything to keep him from crying. I think we'll feel differently one day. Perhaps not better, but different. I thought we'd grow old together, he sighs. Be old men sitting on a balcony, feeding pigeons. I smile at the image. I think none of us get the future we imagine for ourselves. How strange it is that life always turns out to be a different thing entirely from the one you pictured. What would it be like to embrace him? Would it make him look a little less shattered? Could I press the pieces of his broken heart back together? Are you ever going to tell me what's going on? He asks. I know he's not asking me about breaking in. He's not even asking about the tuberculosis. He's asking about what happened in that basement. He's not going to let this go, which is fair. I probably wouldn't either. Francis, please. It's more an exhale than my name. Like it's a word that always exists in his lungs. I want to tell him so badly, but that's not why I'm here. I need something. His answer is immediate. Anything. I need my brother's watch. He looks confused. Will's watch? I hope he gives it willingly. The thought of using magic on Oliver makes me sick. But I'll do it if I have to. Yes. I can't explain, but it's urgent. Oliver worries his lower lip. The gears in his brain whir behind his eyes. He's thinking hard. After a long moment, he rises. All right. He pulls open the top drawer of the table next to his bed. There sits my brother's watch, carefully placed. Oliver presses it in my hand. I'll ask only once more. Please let me help you with whatever is going on. His eyes are dark and syrupy. Coca-Cola on a hot summer day a lifetime ago. I wish it were that simple. I wrap my fingers around the smooth, cool watch. It's heavy in my hand. I'm reminded of the night William went missing. When I woke up the next morning to his unslept-in bed and his pocket watch on the kitchen table. It wasn't like him to go somewhere without it. I left for work, annoyed at him for being so careless with his things. When I came home and the watch still had not been moved, my annoyance turned into full-blown panic. It took them 3 days to find his body. I rise and walk to the window, still cracked open, leaking cool air into the cozy room. Oliver looks startled. You're not staying? I'm confused. Why would I stay? I just thought, after seeing you tonight, perhaps you would come for more than the watch, that you'd wanted to see me too. The feeling I've tried so hard to tamp down swells in my chest. Thank you for the watch. He gathers the courage to look me in the eye. Remember when I said I used to picture Will and me growing old together, feeding pigeons on a balcony? Yes. His gaze bores into mine, resurrecting dead butterflies. I'd picture you too. In my future, I mean. My cheeks burn red. How different would my life be now if he'd looked at me like this a year ago? How would 16-year-old Frances have reacted to getting the thing she wanted most, the thing she only let herself imagine late at night? But tonight is not a night to dwell on feelings. I still have so much to do. Thank you for the watch. I place a leg on the windowsill and turn to say goodbye. I find Oliver, hand outstretched, staring at me like he has so much left to say. I accept his hand, warm and soft, and climb through the window. His fingers linger on mine, just a moment too long. Good night, Francis. I hail a petty cab 2 blocks away. Forest Park, Queens, I greet the driver. That's a long way, he replies. I rip the borrowed sapphire necklace from my neck and pass it through the barrier. I hesitate giving away Maxine's jewels like this, her gifts. But remembering the way she clasped the necklace into my neck, they are yours, she whispered. Do with them what you wish. Allow me to extend my hand out farther. Will this do? Lady, I take you to California for this, he replies and flicks the reins. I jerk back against the seat as the horses begin to trot. The watch in my hand gives me a renewed sense of determination. The ride back to school is longer in a carriage than an ambulance. I'd fall asleep if my nerves weren't so rattled. Instead, I count down the objects the entirety of the ride: the watch, the dagger, the mirror, the graveyard dust, the book. I have the watch, the book is next. It will be easier to sneak into Haven while it is still dark than wait until morning. Soon this will be finished. After nearly an hour, the driver drops me on the far edge of the school wall. The street is abandoned. I hear nothing except the rustle of trees and the swishing of beads on my dress. I round the corner, preparing to unlock the gate when a figure moving in the corner of my eye makes me jump. Calm down, it's just me. Finn's Irish brogue cuts through the darkness. His bow tie slung untied around his neck, his tuxedo shirt unbuttoned 2 buttons, exposing his collarbones. He looks as exhausted as I feel. I thought you'd be inside. Where are you coming from? I hold up the pocket watch. Getting this, one of the last items we need for the spell. If he recognizes the watch, the same one Oliver had at the fundraiser, he doesn't let on. I don't know why I don't want to tell him I was in Oliver's dormitory. It feels like a betrayal somehow. Well done. Finn gives me a nod. Helen left you in the city? I ran away. The look of pride that crosses his face makes me smile. I want Finn to think I'm as bold and brave as he is. And now you're back to break in? He looks impressed. I don't need much time. Just wait here, please. Finn shoves his hands into his pockets. He looks worried. You're sure you won't get caught? I hope the smile I flash looks confident. I'm rather an expert at sneaking in and out of Haven. I'll have you know. He doesn't need to know it isn't entirely the truth. I'd rather he think me as assured as I pretend to be. I leave him at the gate, and alone I march forward in the darkness. The school looks so much bigger at night. I picture myself as I was the first day I arrived here. I was trembling then too, but I know more than I did then. With a flash of magic, I unlock the gate and march back into Haven, for what I pray is the final time. Chapter 25. The foyer is quiet and cavernous, everyone retired to bed long ago. I take in the sweeping staircases, the dark chandeliers. I want to commit this to memory, this place that was once my home. I don't know who is on patrol tonight, but they are nowhere to be found. I wonder if Helen has returned yet to tell them I fled. Perhaps they are out looking for me now. I creep upstairs to my room, where Lena is sitting up in her bed, her hair loose around her shoulders. How was it? She whispers as I walk through the door. I'm shocked she waited up for me. I remember how it felt the night I killed Mr. Hughes. How lonely it was walking into an apartment of sleeping girls with no one to help me. Lena's voice in the dark offers me more relief than I can say. I'm leaving, I whisper as quietly as I am able. I crouch under my bed and pull the scrying mirror from its hiding place. The little black cat, who once scared the living daylights out of me, is under there too, eyeing me judgmentally. I give it a pat on the head. It nuzzles against my hand like it knows I'm saying goodbye. What? Lena hisses. She leans forward on her knees. You can't just leave. I'm surprised by her shock. I hoped she would be excited. Finn is waiting outside the gates. I only came back for the mirror, the book, and you and Maxine. I won't leave you behind. Lena bounds out of bed and shoves me by my shoulders into the quiet hall. She shuts the door to our room slowly, silently. The portraits on the dark wall seem to watch us. I can't be out of here soon enough. Why are you leaving? What's the rush? Sleep on it, please, I beg you. I tell her about the commissioner and Helen sawing his hands from his body. The blood runs from her face as understanding dawns on her. She looks sick as she says, You think she is responsible for the bodies washing up on the bay? I know. Mrs. Wykotsky and Boss Olan are in conflict. Helen sure looked like this is something she'd done before. What if she's the one who killed my brother, Lena? We can't stay here. Where will you go? The Sons of St. John, I say. Her face crunches up in disgust at the name. But we don't have to stay forever. We'll go wherever you want. Paris, California, Japan. I'm hopeful underneath the sickening anxiety that I could have a future. I will solve my brother's murder, stay with the sons long enough for them to help my mother, as Sven once promised. I could move on, I could have a life, I could finally do right by the ones I love. The sorrowful look on Lena's face snaps me back to reality. I don't want to go to Sons of St. John, or Paris, or California, or Japan. I've told you. The only place I want to go from here is home. I can't go with you. I did not expect this. My eyes well with tears. Please, Lena. I'd do anything to convince her. I search my brain for the right words, but nothing comes. She shakes her head sadly. I've had visions of myself leaving, but it's not tonight. It's not like this. I'm sorry, Francis. But it could be tonight. Let's go together. I'm holding both her hands and mine, staring into her eyes. My words fall short. But maybe she can see it in my face, how desperately I want her to come with me. You have to come. What if they hurt you? You don't know what they are capable of. You weren't there tonight. Please, Lena. Her bottom lip quivers. This isn't how I leave. I suck a deep breath in through my nose. My whole chest aches from the effort it takes to keep from sobbing. I don't know how to do this without you. My voice breaks, and the tears come steadily, rushing down my cheeks. I was so sure of myself just moments ago, but I don't know if the right decisions are supposed to hurt this much. Tears from Lena's eyes spill over too. This isn't the end for us. How do you know that? I hiccup. You can't see my future. Lena gives me a watery smile. It's just a feeling. A plain old, regular feeling. I pull her into a tight hug. It feels so inadequate. We hold each other until her nightgown is damp with my tears. I don't want to let her go. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Lena pulls away first. Until we meet again. I have to believe in a future where we are together once more. Until we meet again, she echoes. She sneaks back into the room that once was ours, but that I have no intention of ever entering again. The click of the door behind her shatters my heart. I run down the stairs, clutching the mirror to my chest, and creep into Maxine's room. She's asleep, wearing a striped pajama shirt, her silvery hair sprawled out against the pillow, illuminated in starlight. Silently I crouch at the edge of her bed. First I pull the elementor from where it rests under her bed. Beneath a pile of strategically discarded clothing, I prop it up with the mirror by the door. Perhaps it's a rotten thing to do, taking it while she sleeps, but I refuse to take the risk that she won't let me have it. Next I whisper, PSST mixing, wake up. The skin of her hand is cold, where I grab to shake her awake. She comes to with a gasp. Francis! Jesus Christ! Her eyes widen in horror at my tear-stained face. I'm leaving. I mean it to come out dignified, strong, but it comes out as a pathetic sniffle. She blinks a few times, her eyes heavy with sleep. What? I shake her shoulder. Maxine, get up, let's go. What are you? Where are you going? What is happening? Like I told Lena, I tell Maxine what happened to the commissioner, about Helen and the hands, about the way I ran like hell. Like Lena, her eyes go wide with horror. Dopey old Helen sawed a man's hand off? She asks. I'm getting annoyed at how long and how slow she's being on the uptake. Yes, please, Maxine. Finn is waiting. Let's go. What about Lena? She's not coming. You know I can't go with you. I don't want to do this by myself. I'm so sick of being by myself. Please, Maxine, I can't lose you too. You aren't losing me. You could stay. You need to stay. She scrubs her hand across her face in frustration. You can't honestly be suggesting that after everything that happened. This place is my home. They are murderers. That's not entirely fair. It sounds like Helen was provoked. Was she provoked every time she dumped another handless boy in the river? She might have killed my brother, Maxine. She's fully awake now, sitting upright, her eyes wide and full of anger. That is a completely unreasonable accusation, and you know it. You truly believe Helen, whose interests include knitting periodicals and being the world's worst watercolorist, is a killer? It feels like I'm in one of those nightmares where you're trying to speak but no one can hear you. I don't know how to make her understand. I know what I saw tonight, the color in my cheeks rise. You truly don't believe me. I believe you, she trails off like she doesn't believe me much at all. You believe me, but you won't leave with me. I wish I could. Then do it, Maxine. Leave this place behind. Be more than this, like you're always talking about. You want more power, you've told me as much. We could become as powerful as we want. We could stop wasting our time on floral arrangements and needle threading and make a difference. I'm so filled with anger that my body shakes. She leans forward on her knees and grabs my wrist. Don't leave, Francis, please. Not with him. With him? I'm stunned by the turn in the conversation. I don't trust him. She pauses and swallows hard. There's something I've never told you. I did not just find the elemental, I dreamed it. So, I don't understand what she's implying about Finn, but I don't like it. Surely you don't think this is a coincidence? It sounds like a lot more of a coincidence than witnessing Helen murder a man. God, you're always going to defend them, aren't you? Don't say them like you're not one of us, Maxine quickly shoots back. The most awful thought I've ever had bubbles back up to the surface. There is no more suppressing it. I think of all the time Maxine spends alone with Helen in the city, all the ways she defends them at any cost. It's a spiral I can't stop. My head aches. It's all so clear now. I take a careful step back. Are you part of this? Are you helping Helen? Do you really hate the Suns that much? You hate them so much you'd kill them? The accusation comes out as a whisper. Maxine's face turns to horror. The air between us goes still and cold. How dare you? I don't want to believe it. I love Maxine too much. But her silence feels like a confession. I have nothing left to say to her. I back farther away toward the door, gathering the mirror and book in my arms. If Maxine notices the book I've stolen, she doesn't say. Rage too large to hold inside my body any longer. I rip the diadem from my head and hurl it at her. It lands at the base of her bed. With my back turned, she whispers once more. I loved you. I thought of you as a sister. She takes a shaky step, then snaps. Get out! I loved you too. I say under my breath, so low I'm not sure she hears me. I close the door right as she begins to cry. Chapter 26. Finn is waiting at the gates where I left him. He is leaning against the Model T, smoking a cigarette. I've never seen him smoke before. The smoke curls between his long fingers. You were gone a long time. Was everything all right? He must see the devastation on my face because he pulls me into his chest and lets me fall apart against the warmth of his beating heart. I sob into his shirt, dampening it with my tears. After a moment, he nudges me. You have everything you need. I give a pathetic nod. Finn brushes my hair back from where it's plastered to my face with tears. Then we need to go, love. I imagine I'd feel relief pulling away from Hacksaven, but there's nothing but a deep ache, like someone has scooped out my chest cavity and left it in a bloody mess all over the school's fine marble floors. I can't stop picturing Lena's and Maxine's face. I even think of Sarah, Cora, Maria, May, Aurelia, and Ruby, all the girls I kept at arm's length. I did not imagine I'd miss them at all, but then I remember the sound of Helen sawing through muscle, how casually she pulled a dagger out of her handbag, and I know that I'm making the right choice. Tomorrow I do the resurrection spell. I will get answers from my brother himself, and then I will stop the killing. I will find peace. I will make a better world than this one. Finn spends the entire drive into the city with his hand gripping my knee like he's reassuring himself I'm truly here. The heavy beating of my dress makes me feel like I'm suffocating. Can we make a detour? I ask Finn as we enter Lower Manhattan. Sure thing. Where to? I give him the directions to the final place on my list tonight. After my brother's body was found, the Callahans paid to leave and have him led to rest. There isn't much space for bodies on the island of Manhattan. My mother and I planned to have him cremated, but the Callahans insisted. At the time, I remembered thinking it was odd, but now I am grateful. The cemetery isn't far from the Commodore Club. Finn follows my instructions diligently, without questions. He slows the car in front of a wrought iron gate set between two red brick buildings. It's strange, which is saying a lot for a city filled with strange things. There are dozens of graveyards on the island, but this one is newer. It would be easy to walk right by, if not the skull welded right into the bars. Finn cuts the engine and turns to look at me. His hands grip the steering wheel so hard. His knuckles are white. Well, he takes a minute to gather his thoughts. We have your brother's watch, the mirror, the book, and the dagger is shoved under my mattress back at the club. If I were a betting man, I'd bet you have taken me to where William rests. My chest is tight with emotion. It's the last thing we need. Finn gives a solemn nod. Would you like me to go with you? I shake my head, but his kindness softens some of the hurt. I think I'd like to do it on my own. I'll keep watch. He reaches over and gives my hand a squeeze of encouragement right before I hop out. I'm surprised the gate isn't locked. It greets me with a low whine as I push it open. The soft night has washed the cemetery in silver light as if from another world. There is something about the quiet of this place that makes me want to sink to my knees and ask for forgiveness. It is still here, so far removed from the street just behind me, and in the stillness I'm utterly alone. I remember now why I don't come visit. I don't feel my brother here. William couldn't stand still for longer than 30 seconds. He would have hated the idea of eternal rest. The tombstones sit in rows. Many have gone crooked with time, but my brother's is new. It sits on the edge of the small plot, dignified and cold, nothing like William was in life. William John Hallowell, beloved son, brother, friend. I trace my fingers over the words. They are too sterile, so unlike my bright light of a brother. I saw Oliver tonight, I whisper out loud. I don't know why I do it. The cold grave gives me no answer. I sigh, press my forehead to the stone. I'm so tired, I ache down to my bones. He misses you too. A single pointless tear escapes. I wipe it away with the feel of my hand. I scoop a fistful of dirt and drop it in my fine beaded bag. I rise from the ground, brush the dirt from my dress, and steady myself with a breath. It's done, William, I think. I've done it. I've gotten every object needed for the resurrection. Now all that's left is to gather every last ounce of my courage. I'll see you soon, I half sigh, half wish, lifting my fingers to my lips. I kiss them and place them on the cold tombstone. I promise. I start out of the cemetery and back into Finn's waiting automobile. We drive the final few moments to the Commodore Club in silence, both lost in our own thoughts. Finn gently parks the machine against the curb, and we make our way up the marble steps. He pauses right before we enter through the double doors. I'm so proud of you, he whispers. I'm surprised to find the same tiny bold doorman in the foyer this late at night. Finn passes him the mirror and the book and kindly asks him to place them in his room. It makes me uncomfortable to hand them off to a stranger, but I follow Finn's lead. My brother's watch I keep clutched in my sweaty palm. I have no intention of ever letting go. Finn's hand rests in my other, warm and steady against mine. It makes me feel less like I'm being swallowed whole by this building. Together we go up the grand staircase to a sturdy, paneled in dark wood. In the corner is a taxidermy leopard, posing in an eternal snarl. I'm too tired to be frightened of this place. I suspect that will come in the morning. We pause at the same door I remember well from the first night I came here. I shoot Finn a questioning look. He squeezes my hand in reassurance. We'll need to see boss. He'll be thrilled to have you. have me. I open my mouth to protest. A conversation with Boss Olan is the last possible thing I want to do tonight, but Finn knocks on the door before I get a single word out. Come in, a booming voice instructs. Boss Olan looks as grand as ever sitting behind his desk, illuminated by strained glass Tiffany lamps, papers spread in front of him, in a well-tailored suit as if it's the middle of the workday, not the middle of the night. He smiles as we enter. Why, Mr. Darcy? It looks as if you have brought me a present. Finn nods. Aye, boss. Thought you'd be pleased. Francis here has finally decided to join us. Well, Miss Hallowell, Boss Olan booms, clapping his hands together. I cannot tell you how delighted I am that you are here. We have extraordinary plans for you. Together we'll remake the world. He laughs open-mouthed like a jackal. I steel myself. One final performance for the night. It's best if Boss Olan thinks I'm a sweet girl, one without plans of my own, so I smile and bow my head in gratitude. I only wish to be of service. We can work out particulars in the morning. Of course, of course. He slaps his hand down on his desk, like and he can think of nothing more. Wonderful. I have no intention of helping him remake the kind of world he desires, away from Hackhaven at last. I will learn what I can, I will get justice, and then I will leave. I ignore the nagging, fearful thing in my back of brain that says it might not be that easy. Mr. Darcy, the poor lady looks exhausted. Want to get her a guest suit so she can get some rest? We have so much work to do. We need you in tip-top shape. Oh, I'd hate to be a nuisance, I say as sweetly as I can muster. Nonsense. Be a good girl, Boss Olan exclaims. The winky exchanges with Finn as we exit the study is so like Mr. Hughes that for a moment I'm filled with rage. We are at the door when he stops. Finn. Mr. Darcy, you didn't happen to see the commissioner downstairs, did you? He hasn't made his report to me. That old drunk? No, sir. Haven't seen him. There is no hesitation in Finn's voice. Boss nods and returns to his papers. We shut the heavy door behind us with a thud. Finn takes me to a guest room, one floor up, covered in burgundy velvets and rich mahogany. It looks like someone took Boss Olan's wardrobe and turned it into a bedroom. It's past 2 a.m. now. My eyes are heavy in sleep. I run my thumbs over the smooth brass of watch. Tomorrow, I ask Finn, we'll do the smell tomorrow? If that's what you want, love. We hover awkwardly in the doorway. I'll bring you some clothes in the morning. We'll make a plan then. I curse under my breath. A look of concern crosses his face. What is it? I don't think I can get out of this dress by myself. Lena helped me get into it. God, I miss her so much already. I tuck the clasp at the neck. I could rip it, probably. Stop. Finn steps inside and closes the door behind him. I will help, of course. I will help. You don't have to, I protest. But he's already behind me. I know my way around a row of buttons and a corset. I'll make quick work of it. The thought of him being with another girl unbuttoning someone else's dress makes me sick to my stomach. I don't like the idea of him touching anyone who isn't me. He starts between my shoulder blades. His cool fingers are agonizingly slow as he undoes the button one by one. I'm covered in goosebumps at a single brush of his fingertip. I pray he doesn't notice. When he's done, I slip the heavy dress off my shoulders. It falls to the floor with a slump much too loud for this quiet room. Well done. My voice is too high. Corset next. Start with the laces at the base of my spine. He laughs. Like I said, I've done this before. I'm trying to forget. It's meant to be a joke, but it comes out strained. I can't see him, but I know he's smirking. Are you jealous? He tugs on the strings with a deep exhale. That makes one of us. I can't breathe at all. Slowly, so slowly, he undoes the laces. Each brush of his knuckles against my vertebrae feels like something I need to ask forgiveness for. All done. His voice is rough. I tug at the corset and it drops to the floor with the dress, leaving me nothing but my chemise. I turn to face him. He's so close. I can see the flecks of gold in his eyes. He does not step away. We do not break eye contact as I run my fingers through my already undone hair, searching for my any loose pins. Silence. More terrible, sinful silence. It echoes in my ears, and for a moment the only thing I feel is a painful stab of loneliness. His gaze flickers from my eyes to my lips and back again. He leans in a fraction of an inch. He lifts a hand and thumbs at the thin fabric at my hip. Francis, he sighs. I want to say his name back. I want to lean in, close the distance between us. I want to want this, but I can't do it. Not tonight when my nerves feel scrub raw and my face is swollen from crying. It's all too much. I gasp sharply and turn my head from him. Finn steps back. The spell between us is broken. Wordlessly, he makes his way for the door. But I don't want him to go. Will you stay with me tonight? I don't recognize my own words. He turns to me, closes his eyes for a moment, exhales. My bedroom is in the basement. My face flushes red. I shouldn't have asked. No, he stumbles. If you want me to stay, I will stay. It's just, I've had quite a night. This place is new. I struggle for the right words. I'm heartbroken is the closest I come to an accurate description. Please don't let me be alone. He nods. I understand. He walks over to the bed and throws a pillow on the floor. I'll sleep right here. I'm not going anywhere. He's a gentleman about it. Of course he is. I slide into the cool covers as he rises and presses the buttons for the lights. There is rustling as he undresses in the dark. As my eyes adjust to the low light, I see him lying next to the bed on the floor in nothing but his slacks and undershirt. He looks up at me, eyes large and searching. Go to sleep, love. You deserve some rest. I almost invite him into bed with me. Having his warm, solid form next to mine would be such comfort, but my bravery for tonight is spent. Good night, I whisper. Good night, Francis. I lie awake for a while listening to his steady breathing. Then I doze off into oblivion. I have no dreams. I sleep for what feels like a very long time. I wake up heavy-limbed and confused in an unfamiliar room. I'm greeted by a freshly bathed Finn at the end of my bed, grinning and holding a white tea gown. It all rushes back to me, the commissioner, Oliver, Lena, Maxine. It does not feel real yet, like when you bang your elbow and it takes a minute for the pain to set in. I'm still numb and waiting, but Finn looks so delighted to see me. I put on a brave face. Good morning, I greet him. It's nearly lunchtime, he laughs. You let me sleep that long? I'm embarrassed. I wanted you to get your rest, but it's best you eat. You'll need your strength for tonight. At the mention of tonight, I'm fully awake. Will you the smell? Finn gives me a confident nod. After most of the lads are asleep, there's a room in the basement where no one will bother us. I worked so hard for this. I did not think I'd be this terrified when the moment finally came. He tosses the dress on the bed. Up with you. The lace is much finer than anything I've ever owned. Did you commit robbery for me? I will never confess. Go on, get up, and I'll take you down to meet the lads. He waits outside the door while I dress. The tea gown is a little too small, pinching me at the waist, but I don't tell him so. The dining room at the Commodore Club is similar to the one at Hackhaven, but this one is filled with taxidermy predators and young men with pale, beady-eyed face. They all greet Finn with whoops and hollers of, "Aye, Finny boy!" Finn stays protectively close to me, his fingertips always a breath away from the edge of my skirt. They introduce themselves to me with throaty voices, without ever looking me in the eye. They all seem to be named James. I'm grateful I don't recognize Vlad or Bertram in their midst. The men Oliver and I were forced to fight the night of the Cat Dracta, but my comfort is short-lived. There's something near feral about the boys' interactions with each other. The way they jab their elbows into the ribs of the boys next to them, their bare teeth as they laugh at jokes made at another's expense. It all so loud. For minutes no one pays attention to me. I sit, hands folded in my lap, feeling small and uncomfortable. Finn laughs with his friends and drops a plate of food in front of me. Eat. he commands with a smile. It's after I've taken my first bite of potatoes that one of the finally speaks to me. You finally joined us, eh, Francis? One of the Jameses asked me with a laugh. You're all Finn talks about. Maybe now that you're here, we'll hear the end of it. By the time I chewed and swallowed, ready to answer his question, he turned away, already in another conversation with the boy next to him about someone I don't know did last week. By the way they slapped their knees, it must have been hilarious. A blonde levitates a piece of chicken off his plate and directly into the face of the boy next to him. Everyone at the table laughs like it's the funniest thing they have ever seen. You see, Finn leans over to me. They're so excited you're here. They've been waiting for you. It's meant to be comforting, but it only makes me nauseous. I don't see what Finn is seeing, and I don't like the idea of these men thinking about me at all. I don't want to exist in their heads in any capacity. I'm so anxious about finally performing the resurrection. I barely touch my food. Finn nudges me with his elbow. It's going to be all right, you know. I know, I lie. I think of Lena and Maxine sitting down to lunch in the Hacksaven dining room at this very moment. Is my chair next to them empty, or have I already been replaced? Did Maxine tell Lena about my accusations? If I suspect Maxine is capable of such terrible things, why do I still miss her so much? After lunch, I retired to my upstairs bedroom to wait some more. Finn is gone for hours, while I paced laps around the plush carpet. I watched the sunset over the city from the window. The November sky is painted in a brilliant orange, giving way to soft pinks, fading to purple, and then finally dark blue. All the while, I think of my brother. My anxiety increases with each new star that pops into the sky. We are so close now. It's only when Orion crests the horizon and I can no longer stand the sound of my own thoughts in my head that I hear a gentle knock on the door. You ready? Finn's voice is soft. I reach down for his hand and find it already at my side. I lace my fingers through his and picture my brother in a light-filled dream meadow, whole and waiting for us, as I'll ever be. Chapter 27. In silence we crossed the headquarters of the Sons of St. John together. We walked through the basement where Cat Drakta was held, then down another flight of rough wood stairs. The stairway is ancient-looking, dug through the bedrock. It smells of iron and rain. The temperature drops by a degree each step we take into the dark. I clutch the mirror and the spell book to my chest. The beaded bag containing the watch and dirt from my brother's grave dangles from my waist. I have ripped and wrapped a wool blanket around my shoulders, but it doesn't do much to stop me from shaking. The cellar the stairs lead to looks to be as old as city itself. It's perhaps 15 by 15, big enough that I can't touch the opposite walls with my arms outstretched, but small enough that I feel as if I've been swallowed by a beast made of mud and shelves of dusty wine bottles. It's dark too. The only light is Finn's kerosene lamp. With shaking hands, I prop the scrying mirror in the corner. It reflects the light of Finn's lantern, twin flames dancing in the dark. Maybe it's the unbearably low ceiling or the silence pressing on my ears, but I've never before heard my heart beat this loudly. Finn lowers himself to the dirt floor and pats the space next to him. I tug the blanket tighter to stop my hands from shaking. Let's begin. His voice is slow and so much steadier than I feel. All right. It comes out as a whisper. We don't have to do this if we are not ready. I don't think I'll ever be ready for what we are about to do, but that's not the point. We need to know for certain who killed him. We need to stop them from killing again. We don't have the luxury of waiting around, not when wasted time could mean another boy's life lost. I don't tell him a simpler truth that I miss my brother and I'm both terrified and elated at the idea of seeing him again. I sit down next to Finn and watch him open the page that has consumed all my thoughts. The book's ancient spine cracks, like it too has been waiting for us. The ground is hard and cold. The damp of the cellar takes root in my lungs. My heart is in my throat. I have the feeling I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, sick with anticipation of the unknown. Finn places a warm hand on top of mine. I grip it like a life preserver on a vast dark ocean. What was it the old woman at the market said about anchors? There is a diagram of objects drawn out on the onion skin paper, sketched so lightly that I can barely make it out. I have a 5-pointed star. I lay out the items. I dump the pile of graveyard dust to the right of the mirror, the pocket watch to the left. To my direct left, I place the dagger. Then, completing the pentagram, I lay the book open to my right. Finn's eyes lock into mine. "No matter what happens, Francis, I'm here for you," he says. I picture my brother's face alive and smiling. He had wrinkles in the corners of his eyes from how often they were scrunched up in laughter. He had dimples and crooked-bottomed teeth and my exact same nose. What if he doesn't look the same? What if he looks waterlogged and dead? I nod. The words won't come. I feel as if I'm about to vomit. Everything I've worked for is panned out in front of me. But what is the punishment for breaking the very laws of existence? What does the world do to girls who speak to the dead? How will I move on when all this is over? Deep in my soul, I know it doesn't matter what the consequences are. I would do anything for my brother, and this is the very last thing I can do for him. The final act of the love that's eating my heart alive. Let's begin, I say. It echoes off the walls. I pull the book from Finn's lap onto my own, and I begin to read. I've read over the spell at least a dozen times, but the words are still clumsy on my tongue. Trastarana will August taber, dom anmedit, a Kalead Ionas go famaz neos, Muama alabart. The familiar stirring in my gut I expect when I say a magic spell does not come. Instead, there is only the blank, yawning emptiness of nothing. In the center of the room, the lamp flickers, illuminating the fact that nothing has changed. I pause, staring at Finn and myself, illuminated in the mirror, praying for something to happen. But nothing sparks, nothing changes. I'm just stuck staring at my own disappointed face. Panic rises in my chest. I've never fully stopped to consider what I would do if this spell didn't work. I haven't allowed myself to consider the possibility. It didn't work. I say it out loud more for myself than for Finn. Try it again, he urges. Close your eyes, really focus. I do as he says. With practice, the words come more easily. I shut my eyes so tight, I see stars. Please, 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 I pray. Please let it work. Please, please. I open my eyes. The basement is still and cold. There is only me and Finn reflected in the mirror. He's concerned too. I can see it in his face. Why isn't it working? My voice breaks on the last word, and tears begin to fall hot and fast down my face. No, no, no. This can't be right. I don't know. Finn puts his arm around my shoulder, but it doesn't give me any comfort. Try again, he encourages gently. I pull the lantern closer to the book. I study the diagram, read every frantic note in English scrawled in the margin, only effective if done soon after departure from this plane. Best under waning moon, graveyard dust no more than 5 days old, risky, best in the company of others. We have done everything right, everything except for one thing, only effective if done soon after departure from this plane. It's a note in the margin that stands out the boldest, as if mocking me. William has been gone for months. Maybe it's too late, maybe I've lost my chance. I say the spell faster, with more desperation than ever, but still there is nothing. Everything is hollow and quiet, it's heartbreakingly ordinary. The mirror reflects my devastated face. I thought I was powerful, I thought I was different, but I'm just as useless as I've always been. I don't understand. I'm sobbing in earnest now. I don't know what to do. I never truly imagined we would fail. The basement is silent except for my hiccuping, childish crying. I suppose it was all too good to be true. The idea that I could speak to my brother once more, that I could find meaning in his senseless death. that I could solve it and be a hero. It was a fairy tale I told myself to survive, and I'm a fool for having believed it. I curled into a fetal position on the hard dirt floor and let the sadness rack my body. It's a relief, in some ways, to let the tidal wave of pain I've kept at bay for the last 6 months wash over me. He's gone, he's gone. He's gone forever to some place I'll never reach. This was the whole point of everything. Of seeking out of Hagshaven, of practicing in secret, of putting everyone at risk, and now I have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Finn's soft voice is an anchor. Without it, I'd be completely lost. I'd let this feeling carry me away. Francis, he strokes my shoulder. Don't give up on me yet, Francis. The spell doesn't work. It's broken. It's so goddamn broken, I sob. He takes a breath. We might have another option. Another option. I cling to the words and push myself up off the ground. Finn points to a note written in Gaelic, the one I can't read. This one references another spell. There's something else we could try. Who bubbles up from despair. Anything. I'll try anything. He flips the pages of the elemental to one of the very last pages and lets out a sigh. We could bind our magic. Together we might be strong enough. I blink through my tears. Bind our magic? Finn studies the page. It's forbidden. It's dangerous. It's like a marriage. He struggles to get the word out. It ties us together. Our souls, I mean. I'm still confused. I don't understand what I'd be doing to him. I couldn't ask you to do that for me. Finn looks at me, his eyes wide. Francis, I would do anything for you. I close my eyes for a moment. I think of the first time I met Finn in the park. A light in the darkness. I could certainly do worse. From between my tears, I let out a laugh. I never thought I'd be wed at 17. Finn smiles up at me through thick lashes, but I can tell he's as scared as I am. I've always enjoyed surprising you. He lays the spell book at the base of the lantern and takes a steadying breath. I look over the spell. It looks like any other in the book, with delicate drawings of hands and rope and a spell in strange language. I've long been a creature of desperation. Agreeing to this doesn't seem any worse than agreeing to the resurrection in the first place. Can we undo it once it's done? I ask. I don't know, he answers honestly. Go on then, I urge him. I don't know how to return to the world if I can't complete this spell. I will finish this tonight, or I will burn my soul to ashes trying. He swallows. His confident veneer is stripped, revealing the nervous 18-year-old underneath. But he is brave for me. We'll be brave for each other. No matter what happens, I'm here. Without further discussion, he rips through the hem of his white shirt, producing a thick ribbon of fabric. Give me your hand. His eyes are wild with the flickering lantern flame. He adjusts himself so he's sitting cross-legged directly across from me, and he takes my right hand in his. He drapes the ribbed shirt hem over our clasped hands, where it dangles on each side. The original spell is in Gaelic, he explains, but I think it will be more powerful if we recite it in English, so we both understand the meaning. I nod in agreement. With his left hand, Finn gathers the two ends of the shirt hem and in an elegant figure 8, winds them around our joined hands, tying them in a knot at the basement of my wrist. He leans forward and places his forehead against mine. The heat from his skull unravels the tension between my eyebrows, and then he begins. I, Finn James Darcy, give myself to you, Frances Victoria Hallowell. All that I am and will be is yours, from this life on to the next. My soul and all that is within it belongs to you. I let the words work their way inside me. They find their home somewhere in the left chamber of my heart, where I know I'll carry them forever. Your turn, he whispers. I close my eyes and speak the words deliberately. I, Frances Victoria Hallowell, give myself to you, Finn James Darcy. All that I am and will be is yours, from this life on to the next. My soul and all that is within it. It belongs to you. Saying the words breaks my heart, for reasons I cannot name, but Finn gives my tied-up hand a reassuring squeeze. With his left hand, he points to the spell book and a line of Gaelic words at the bottom of the page. Now say this. I obey. Beantar is lastatu. With those words, something happens. The temperature of the basement drops even further, and a shudder like November wind up my body. My heart feels suddenly hollowed out. A dry heave, but nothing comes out. Did we do it wrong? I choke out to Finn. There's only one way to find out. He turns back to the resurrection. Together this time? Together. His deep Irish brogue joins my quiet American accent. The spell fells and feels different now. I can feel the magic within me reaching out, a spark begging for something to light on fire. Upon the last three words, Ama al-Labart, something strange happens to the scrying mirror. The glass ripples like waves of dark water, no longer reflecting the room but something silvery and strange and not of this world. Then, like fog parting, the cloudiness dissipates, and in the mirror is him, reflected just as if he were standing on the other side, is my brother. It knocks the wind out of me to see his face in such perfect detail. Closely cropped brown hair, eyes that always look ready for a laugh, the same straight nose as the one on my face. I let out an exclamation somewhere between a wail and a shout of joy. I scramble close to the mirror, on my hands and knees. William! His name comes out as a sob, and the tears begin falling once more. Hello, Francis. It's a voice I never thought I'd hear again. I was afraid the resurrection all might be an illusion, an untruth spun with magic, but there's something between the particular line of his grin that is so unmistakably William. Real. This is real. I've 1,000,000 things to say, but the only thing I can manage is, I am sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what, sis? He's looking at me in that fond, sort of patronizing way he did in life. He's slouching too, in the way our mother used to nag him about. There's a freckle next to his nose that I had forgotten. People die. It appears I was one of them. It's just like him, to treat his death as casually as he treated everyone and everything else. But I didn't save you, he laughs. His chest rises and falls with it. I didn't save me either. No one could have, he shrugs. And the gesture is so William, it devastates me. There are so many questions on the tip of my tongue, but all I can think about is time. How long do we have? He presses his lips together and exhales. It's a smile of pity. Not long, I think, sis. I wish we had more time. There's so much I want to tell him about magic and Hagshaven, and Oliver and our mother and the millions of other things he has missed. I miss you. You don't know how much I miss you. I can't lose you again. One day you were just gone, and I can't have you be gone again. Will it make you feel better if I say I'm at peace? I swallow the lump in my throat. I don't want to waste the time I have with tears. I want to crawl inside the glass, throw my arms around him, and let every broken piece of my heart finally rest. You need to move on. God, that's a cliche. Being dead has made me a cliche. He laughs. But it hasn't made me any less right. Where are you? I press my hands to the mirror. It's so cold, it feels like being burned. I jerk away. William knits his eyebrows together in concern but keeps his tone as jerky as ever. You know, I can't say. I've always thought you worried too much about me. Stop worrying so much. From behind the glass, he closes his eyes. He's becoming more translucent by the moment. You can't just leave yet. We need more time. What happened the night you died? It's the stupidest thing. I hardly know. I worked a late shift and was walking home like I always did. Something hit me hard from behind. There was a gloved hand over my mouth. It was scratchy. The river was cold, but only for a minute. I barely felt a thing. Next thing I knew, I was dead. Didn't even have time to turn around. Disappointed surges through me. When I imagined this moment, I always pictured him giving me a name, full description, something I could take action on. You don't know who did it? He shakes his head. I'm afraid I can't help you. It's just like William to be so nonchalant about his own murder. Did you see a woman, maybe about 40, or a taller, younger one? He sighs. I didn't see a thing. I was gazing at the river. I heard someone whistling a tune. It was a beautiful night, and then, boom, lights out. Some part of me wonders if he's lying to spare my feelings. So what do I do? I ask my brother in the very last moments I'll ever have with him. What do I do in a world without you? You live, silly. I don't know how. You were always the smart Hallowell. I don't want you to feel any guilt about my death. Go live your life enough for the both of us. Don't for one single second feel guilty that you can't change the past. You were always the brave one. He's fading quickly. Now it has to be you. I don't know how. So you'll do what you have always done. You will learn. Please don't leave me, I sob. You know, I'd never do that. No, I cry. Finn is behind me, holding my shoulders as I collapse over my knees, sobs racking my body. No! I shake him off and crawl to where the spellbook lies on the dirt behind us. Trastar and will agustaber donam mid akalehit enos goafamas nios mo ama alabert. I recite the spell between gasping sobs. It sounds like I'm begging. I suppose I am. Stop, love. You'll hyperventilate. Finn tries to take the book from me. No! I scream at him. I need more time. I snatch the book back from him and crawl to the mirror. Again, I recite the spell, but nothing comes. Nothing stirs within me. I try a third time, a fourth time. In the reflection of the mirror, Finn looks on with pity. Again and again I recite the spell, beg the universe to break the rules for me just one more time. Finn places a gentle hand on my shoulder. Come on, Francis. I press my forehead to the cold mirror and let the horrible turn take root inside me. I have lost William again, and this time it's forever. To be continued. I will see you next time with part 10. Till then, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you, your support means a lot to me.